Welcome to the Ultrarunning Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Scotty Sando. In this episode, we are thrilled to bring you the incredible journey of a married couple, Krista and Guy Alderdice, who recently competed in the Wild Horse 200 endurance event that started on April 5th in South Wales, Great Britain. This grueling 200-mile ultramarathon through the stunning Welsh countryside is not for the faint of heart, but this determined couple took on the challenge together and emerged victorious, and they're still married to boot. You may recognize Krista and Guy from their Ultrarunning Magazine regular column, Blue Collar Runners, which highlighted the stories of everyday people accomplishing the extraordinary, truly speaking my love language. Join us as we delve into their preparation, their experience on the course, and the lessons they learned along the way. Get ready to be inspired by their determination and perseverance, and their love for each other and the sport of ultrarunning. Coming to us from their beautiful farm in the adventure playland of West Windsor, Vermont, please put your hands together for Krista and Guy Alderdice. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome to the show. They are not unfamiliar faces to Ultrarunning Magazine, as you heard in the intro, but it's my pleasure to welcome Krista and Guy Alderdice. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show. How are you both?
We're good. We're great. We're still in the afterglow of Wild Horse, so we're loving it.
I have so many questions about this race. So can you share with folks kind of an overview about the race and what makes it so special?
Want to go or me?
You go.
Okay. Well, it's a 200-mile race in South Wales, and we kind of stumbled upon this a couple of years ago. After we were supposed to go to Tahoe, and that got canceled due to the wildfires.
Yep.
So we kind of started browsing around out there. We stumbled upon this kind of new race in Wales, and the more we researched, the more we kind of became intrigued in it. And we basically it's there's three different versions of it. There's a North, Mid, and South Wales. So long story short, in 2022, we went to Mid Wales and attempted that one, and we DNF'd at the halfway point. So we weren't quite ready. So this past April was our redemption tour. So we went back this time to South Wales, and it's just as we'll talk about, it's just an incredible kind of group of folks that put on just a fabulous race over there.
So just to recap for folks about the race, like I said, is in South Wales in Great Britain. You have 120 hours to complete the race, 5 days. You have to climb approximately 30,000 feet. That's a lot of zeros, my goodness. And you have to finish the first 100 miles within 55 hours. So those are kind of the parameters of the race. So what were you thinking wanting to do a 200-mile race? What is the draw for you both? Krista, you go first.
I think we go to our why is we love to adventure together. So it checked a lot of boxes. We got to travel, so that was a cool thing. And then we train all together, and we do everything together. We work together. We have 2 kids. People always see us together. So the draw was just being out in nature for 5 days together. So and just kind of being in a different country was kind of a big draw, something different.
Guy, can you describe the course in terms of the terrain and what we're talking deep woods? I don't know anything about South Wales, although my family is from there. Don't tell anybody. But so yeah, what is the trail like?
Well, it was unbelievable. And I'm telling you, we kind of had this idea of, we've done a bunch of 100-mile races, and we're sitting here crunching the numbers going, okay, this is going to be not too bad. We got plenty of time. We'll take our time. But we were blown away. It's such a variety of conditions. Starting out, you start out in the southeast coast of in a town called Chepstow in Wales. The first day was drizzling, kind of beautiful trails. It was kind of lulled us into a false sense of security. And as the race went on, with the different weather we experienced, it was my new nightmare are bogs. I've got a lot of PTSD about wet, marshy bogs that can swallow you whole. So yeah, it was very wet. It was, I think the biggest surprise for me was how hard it was to keep our feet dry, and and our feet were trashed pretty early on.
So
yeah.
It's boggy, so lots
Yep.
of mud. Kind of, would you say a bog? I don't know what a bog is. A bog kind of like it's kind of marshy. Is that what the
Marshy,
kind
yeah.
of the terrain is?
Yeah, a lot of meadows, a lot of meadows.
Yeah.
We go through a lot of sheep farms.
Yeah.
Very limited trees. I mean, being from Vermont, we have so many trees around, so you can kind of see forever in some instances.
Up mountains, we went up several mountains throughout the course, and I probably had one of the craziest memories was night one. I think we were around 50 miles in, and kind of the heavens opened up, the visibility went to zero, and we, the timing wise, we were hitting the highest point in the course, and we hit it in the middle of the night. There's no trail markings. You're following GPS, GPS on your phone and your watch, and we were on top of a mountain with no visibility, pouring rain, freezing, kind of going,
Why are we here?
how are we going to get out of here? It was pretty good, pretty intense.
Can you give me a sense of the temperature? Like, what is the high, what's the low in terms of what you're dealing with?
The low was typically around 32.
Okay.
Yep, it was
Yeah.
cold.
Oh yeah.
And then I think we got as high as mid 60s, maybe low 60s.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had sun, we had hail, we had rain, we had high winds. It was a little bit of a mixed bag.
Right.
The cold was definitely interesting for trying to sleep. If you weren't at a sleep station, I mean, sometimes you just had to lay on the ground, but you would wake up within 20 minutes freezing,
shivering.
You didn't really need to set your alarm because your body would just say, "Oh, I've had enough."
And is the course, is it point to point? Is it out and back? What is that?
Yeah, it's a point to point. So it was pretty cool. We met the day before at the finish line, so we got to see the finish line. The finish line, by the way, is the most spectacular setting you could ever imagine. It's on the west coast on the ocean in Wales, a place called Wormshead, and so it's just spectacular cliffs, beach, and then we shuttled back. So logistically, it was a little tricky. We shuttled back to the start line, but we actually got to share a ride with a couple of the locals, and this one guy, I'll never forget him, Daniel Morgan. We got a chance to chat with him, and he said, he goes, it took me a long time to sign up for this race. So I go, well, how come? And he goes, because I know the course. And so then I knew, I was like, I'm like, we might be getting into something pretty hairy, but he was a neat guy, and he wound up finishing as well. And yeah, so part of what I think the draw for Krista and I was, we met so many incredible people. We were one of 3 Americans out of the field, out of the 47 runners. And it was just a lot of interesting locals that we met. I'd say mainly probably a majority of the field from Wales, a few other countries represented, but
yeah, Wales and England.
Yeah, it was cool, really cool.
You wouldn't I wouldn't associate spectacular finish at a place called Worm's Head.
Worm's Head.
Are we in like a Game of Thrones episode right now? What's going on? Lord of the Rings? What? No.
It was the most magnificent beach. Like it had to have been. I don't even know how wide it is, but wild horses everywhere. Big rocks. Kind of looks like a worm that goes out to the sea, and we're like, wow. So we just kept envisioning that finish line to say, we have to get there this year. We have to get there.
Well, and we got to, we came up over this, we actually went through a wedding part. There was a wedding going on, and we went through there, and we are going to take off our shoes and work on our blisters. But then all of a sudden there was wedding photographers. So we got out of there, and then we came up over this cliff, and you almost felt like you were done, but we still had 6 miles to go. So we called our family, and we were, kind of chatting and FaceTime with them near the end, and we're
showing them.
We kind of started our premature celebration. It was pretty magical.
That's great. That's a nice way to finish a race. I kind of victory lap in, just kind of soaking it all up. So you both ran and you started and finished together. Congratulations, you're still together. And you ran the race in 107 hours and 22 minutes. Congratulations. Again, that cutoff was 120 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
The finisher, by the way, first place male, Ben Wernick, finished it in 57 hours,
Yeah,
44 minutes. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that. My jaw dropped to the floor. I read that.
know.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah,
Whoa.
there are some really quality people out there that just were. I mean, I think, yeah, there was just every. I think an interesting stat was there's 8 women that started the race and 7 finished. So it was like 88%, completion rate for women. They smoked it.
Yeah, and the first place female, she came in at 81 hours, 38 minutes. Spectacular. Yep. Just what? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I need to go back to kind of the beginning of this, and 200 miles. That's no small feat. And you attempted it before. Had you attempted a 200 miler before previously? I know you've done hundreds, but was this by far the first time you ever finished a 200?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how did you both prepare for the race, both physically and mentally? Guy, can you take that question?
Well, the big difference for us was this with this race happening in April, our peak training was January to like mid-March. And in Vermont, as you know, that's not ideal weather. So we were training in ice, and our ice spikes on every day and below zero. So we kept up with the mileage. We balanced it with work. We called it peak a week. So every week we incorporated a mountain climb to a summit, mostly Mount Scottney. So we just kind of got in a nice routine with that training.
Mm-hmm.
A peak a week. I like that. That's great.
Yeah,
I didn't get that on a t-shirt. A peak a week.
That's right. Yeah, we had to get our climbing in, and that paid off because what we found is the older we get, where we found this strategy, we just go longer and slower. So it's like, there's not a lot of interval training.
No.
It's pretty, pretty chill, but it suits us. It kind of suits what we're trying to do.
Oh, you both are my kind of people.
Yeah.
So, Krista, to you, so mentally, how did you prepare yourself for taking such a feat?
Well, first of all, we didn't scheme about getting a bed and breakfast like halfway through. So that was a good thing. That's what we did last time. We're like, we could make this a really nice vacation. So no, I mean, just, I don't know, always kind of like mentally seeing yourself at the finish, that helped me. And just believing, I guess, was a little bit more like saying, I think we can do this. There's always that thought in your head, can I? But I think we just really wanted it this time, even more than last time.
So what were some of the bigger challenges that you faced during this, or was it all just roses and daisies the whole way through?
Oh, no.
Oh boy. I think I never knew how high the highs would be and how low they would be. Every time we kind of felt like we had escaped some kind of problem, something else popped up. The biggest, I think, from my perspective, the biggest thing that almost thwarted us from this was getting lost. And we got lost several times. At times it felt hopeless. I think probably the low point was we were around probably mile 160. So we finally felt like, okay, this is doable. We got plenty of time. We're going to do this. And we got incredibly lost. We missed, I think there's a detour sign for high tide. We missed the sign. I think we were sleep deprived, and it was the middle of the night, and all of a sudden we were hitting these marshy bogs where it's kind of scary, and it's deep. And so we had a decision to make. Do we backtrack 4 or 5 miles, try to find where we went wrong, or we could see on our watch that we were maybe a mile off course. So we just started
parallel the line.
Yeah.
You're following this green line.
So we bushwhacked it, and we just kind of made a beeline for it, which included scaling barbed wire fences, crawling through like 3 feet thick pricker bushes that separate farms. And there was some moments out there where
like 2 a.m.
Yeah, we're trying to help each other. If someone falls and gets gashes their leg open on this barbed wire, we're in trouble. So
Yeah, that's
That was a little, that was a little.
so it's
But we were texting with the race director and we're like, can you see that we are on course? Like he goes, you're just slightly to the left. And then we're like, okay, we're so close.
Yeah.
So we, found out from other competitors, it's just, you kind of, a lot of people are in the same thing. You're following this line, but sometimes it's just a little to the left, a little to the right.
Yeah.
You can never stay directly on this green line.
Yeah. So that was, well, and we were, when you sign up, you're either crewed or screwed, and we were screwed. So we didn't have a crew, we didn't have pacers. We said, we'll have each other. The problem is, it's kind of like, two people drowning that neither of us can swim. We're both like sleep deprived, loony, and it's like you're looking to your, normally when someone falls apart, the other person is strong. Well, we were both falling apart, so it was. Yeah, it was interesting. We had some pretty low moments, but we just kept going.
Yeah.
So how do you bounce back from that? What are you telling yourself to keep yourself going when you're lost, you're miserable, I'm lost, I don't know where the hell I am, not familiar here, folks. What am I supposed to do here? So what's in your bag of tricks to kind of get you out of the bog, out of the mess?
Yeah, it definitely woke us up. I can tell you that. I mean, we had a shot of adrenaline of like trying to figure this out. We kind of knew our friends and family were watching our dots too. So we're like, we gotta keep going.
Yeah.
We can't stall over this, barbed wire.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, I don't know. We took a deep breath. He's super like kind of chill. I'm not. So you were definitely more of the anchor. I get a little intense.
Well, you know what else too is it's so cold out there. You almost can't just sit down and feel sorry for yourself because you'll freeze. So you just it almost forces you to keep going. And the one trick we did was a friend of ours, Nat, basically he did a couple 200s, and he said stop your watch and reset your segment every time you hit a checkpoint, so that it just becomes a quest for
smaller.
So now, okay, it's not 80 miles to go, it's just 20 miles to the next checkpoint. So that was pretty key for us. We
didn't do that in mid Wales, and that was hard looking at your watch and being like, oh,
and trying to do math, and this was much simpler. So we called, I think we called our sons a couple times in the middle of the night, said, hey, can you see us on the tracker? And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, you're right there.
So like, I see you on the blue line.
Yeah.
You're calling back home to the United States to see if I'm on the damn race course. Son, I need your help. I need you to computer. I'm asleep. I don't care. This is really important. Really.
Check
your phone.
So, and then the hallucinations kick in, and we're seeing like goblins on the sidewalks. And
okay, hold up. Pause button. Let's talk about hallucinations. All right, who hallucinated first, and then what did you see? What was your experience? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I saw a woman with a red dress, and she was in this. We had to go down this kind of big embankment into a river. There was another guy with us, and I said, "She's right there," and he's like, "She's not there." And I go, "She has a red dress. She's looking at us. She's like staring at us." And he's like, "No."
And she's standing in the river, right?
She was standing right in the river, and I'm like, "Why would you do that in the middle of the night?" She wasn't there.
You wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
How about you, Guy?
Yeah, a lot of it was like like when we go through a town and the lighting at night, it's just goblins all over the sidewalk. Every creepy like face and like howling and just. Yeah.
Oh man.
So a lot of hallucinations. Just and I think we were just not. I mean, the longest we'd ever done is one overnight with 100 miles. So by night 3 and 4, you're really in it. I mean, you're just trying to find some sleep where you can. They had sleep stations, and then we'd occasionally, as Krista said, we just kind of pull right over and just lay right down on the side of the road. So we took what we can get.
Krista, I like your hallucinations much better than your husband. It's just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was there. It's there.
So let me get back to, so that was I want to get back into the kind of strategies and techniques that you have for running a 200. The strategy of, starting and stopping your watch at every checkpoint. The checkpoints are every like 20, 25 miles or so. That is a really solid idea, and I'll be stealing that one from whenever I do a 200.
Yes, someday. I think it's definitely key. For us.
So you guys are no strangers to running long distances. You've done a host of hundreds. What are some other 200-mile strategies that you could give folks from this event?
Well, I think the blister care was a big one. We learned a lot about blister care because, you know, we hadn't, you know, we dealt with you know, I look back and the blisters we've dealt with before this were just amateur time. We had blisters in places we never imagined, and I think that we learned a lot about how to treat blisters. So now, you know, carrying a basic blister kit and dealing with that.
We had one, but I feel like we just didn't have the stuff we should have had.
Yeah.
Was it Compeed?
Compeed, and yeah, we learned a lot from the volunteers in that respect. I think that so foot care is a big one. Eating, you know, we've gotten way better over the years with our eating, and trying to find, you know, a good balance of eating and being steady with that, not getting too deep in a hole with that. That was pretty key with us.
Toast was our best friend over there.
Yeah.
You'd come in and they would ask you, how would you like your tea? Which is really cool. Or we would have milk and sugar. And then they would give you tea, and then always try to eat something before you go to sleep. We did not the first sleep station. We felt a little nauseous waking up. So having a little bit of toast was great. And then you'd wake up and then have kind of a bigger meal before you headed back out was a good tip. I definitely struggled with sleep deprivation. I couldn't sleep at the first aid station. I was so jealous of him at the first, sleep. He just zonked. He can sleep anywhere. And I was just like, but I definitely needed sleep later on, and I could sleep anywhere. So I learned to sleep better after.
That's kind of the worst, when your partner can just like fall asleep and you're just like looking at them like, ooh, why can't I be like you? I'm miserable and cold. I just want to shut off my brain so I don't think about where I am right now.
I couldn't.
I think we were going to sleep for an hour and a half, and at 45 minutes in, she jabbed me. I felt it's almost,
get up.
I felt someone jabbed me. She was like, let's go. I can't sleep. We're out of here. So
So when you guys rolled into a sleep station, did you set an intention for how much time you wanted to be there? I would have chosen 8 hours, full 8.
I know. On paper, we're like, we could do 50 miles a day. We'd have 8 hours. Yeah, you have a 4-hour where you have to kind of get out. So what were we like? Usually we'd sleep an hour and a half.
Yeah, hour and a half, depending on how we felt. And just and then it was usually like another, boy, it seemed to drag out. Usually about an hour of foot care and getting ourselves back, you know, putting Humpty Dumpty back together again to get back out in the trail. So it was, I think, you know, we did a pretty good job with what we packed with us. I mean, we always had rain gear with us because
we definitely overpacked.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, one volunteer, he was so sweet. He goes, your bags are giving me anxiety. Our bags were huge. And now I've looked, next year you can only have one bag. So it might be because of us.
I think so. I think we, So
we have to pack a little bit better.
Get your
stuff. And then
it's the Alderdice rule they have for next year.
I think it is.
That's right. Sorry, we ruined it for everyone. But I think the other thing too is, and I can't say this enough, we never would have made it without the volunteers. The volunteers were the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, these are people that, boy, they were so friendly. They were so they were just
funny.
You could tell they were, you know, they were rooting for you. And of course, you know, they're wild Brits and Welsh people. So it's you're just waiting for Hugh Grant to come around the corner. It's like being in a, you know, Notting Hill movie, and they just, I mean,
doted over you.
Oh, it was incredible. So yeah, we leaned on them. We had a couple just ones that stood out. You know, tear right into your feet without even thinking. You know, just our mangled feet, just such care and detail, and then feeding us. And yeah, the volunteers were incredible.
You know, volunteers can really make or break at an event like this. You know, thank you to all the volunteers everywhere who, you know, just take such great care of complete strangers to help them reach a crazy ass goal of, you know,
out there, they're cold and they're tired.
And I'll say one other thing before I forget. The race director, Reese Jenkins,
he's amazing.
He's one of the coolest guys. He's married, has I think a 1-year-old. He's run the length of Great Britain. He's done all these crazy things. he calls every single participant the week before the race.
Everyone.
So literally, so we're sitting there, 6-7 days before the race, my phone rings, United Kingdom on my caller ID. And he literally, and other people have told us he does this for all of his races. He calls you and you get 20 minutes with the race director, and he goes over things. So I'm like, that's unbelievable.
And he was at the finish line for every finisher. And he's just a cool guy, cool family.
So he's
coming to run Vermont, so we're excited.
Great. You should call him like a week out before he comes to the race.
Exactly. Good call. Yeah. So he was great. And so it's funny, we suffered, and we, during the race, we're like, let's just get this done because we're never doing this again. And 24 hours later, we're going to be back out there next year for another one of his races. So there's been a can of worms has been opened, and we can't go back. It was too much fun.
Yeah, a can of worms is opened over at Wormhead. How about that?
Exactly.
So I want to get back to the sort of preparedness for this race. So you said that we got the Alderdice rule now, only one bag. So what did you pack that you didn't need? And then what are some items that were absolutely essential in this event that you haven't needed in other events?
Well, definitely poles.
And
poor guy lost his poles at mile 40.
Oh,
so that was a bummer.
Oh,
my trekking poles are.
They've been everywhere.
They're in a sheep field somewhere, leaning against a fence. If anyone sees them, send them my way. Yeah. But then again, a volunteer, a guy named Kyle, 30 miles later, let me hit. He said, "Oh, I got some poles for you." So I mean, it would have been hard to make it without poles, because it was just so brutal.
Definitely good rain gear. Was our best friend. We bought hand warmers. Those are great. Winter gloves. I probably didn't need to pack 4 winter gloves. 1 was enough. So it seems like that I overpacked.
There's too many multiples. Like
4 jackets. I only needed the 1.
Rain jacket. We were really paranoid about that. I think the one thing that we need to do better on is our GPS watch. We have a great watch. It's got a great battery on it, but we had the course on our phone as well, but we had to rely too much on the phone, which is tricky, especially at night. If you envision driving a car and one of the kids turns the lights on and you can't see, well, that's when you're looking at your phone and it blinds you almost, and you're trying to, you're tripping, but we had to rely on the phone way too much, because so now the next time we've done some research, we're going to get a better GPS watch. That was something that we really.
A lot of people had it where it would just alert them if they went off, off the line. So that's definitely going to be something that we upgrade.
For sure. We didn't put sunscreen on, so we got toasted. I think day 3, we
had that in our bag, but we just, we were too tired to do it.
What? You had your bag the whole time? Oh.
Sometimes the littlest things it requires. It just feels monumental.
So how did your experience as a married couple, or experiences during that race, how that help you through?
I think just being able to lean on each other. We're comfortable with silence. We love to chat it up. We know everything about it. I mean, I've met Guy when I was 15, so he was 17. So we've been together forever. So it's just that level of comfort. And we were joking with the photographers. We're like, we just don't fight. We don't. One guy, our friend of ours, once called us the cupcake couple. It's just, I don't know, we just don't really fight. So it just was another adventure to be on and someone to lean on. And I don't think I'd want to be out there in the middle of the night by myself. So I loved having him, by my side as well. So we're just a good team. I think.
I mean, it's just an extension of the way we've lived our lives together, the lives we've built in kids and careers and goals, and I think we're just oddly so much on the same page and this is just another something we enjoy together, and
like a bonus.
I mean, we talk about all the time. Krista's had her big horse accident in 2015, and if that hadn't happened, I don't know if I'd still be running, or she certainly wasn't running these kind of distances. So it's been Yeah, we're very comfortable. You know, she can tell me off and I don't even get offended. And, you know, there's,
Or if I start crying or anything, he's just like, oh, I got to keep walking. Because if I look back, there's going to be a meltdown.
yeah.
So I have to ask, because I'm sure others are wanting to know. And I read this story earlier today about that horse accident that you're involved with. If you don't mind sharing with the group,
Yeah.
what happened and what was the outcome of that?
So I was more of a 100-mile endurance rider. I would always look at the people at Vermont 100 going, why would you do that? Why would you want to run that? And then he ended up always talking about running, because he always would crew me with the kids, and actually even when the kids were super little. But back in 2015, I just was going out for a routine training ride with friends, and her horse kicked me and shattered my elbow in 10 places. So 3 surgeries later, very down and out, super, depressed. That was my identity. I've been a horse girl my whole life. So it was kind of a big shock. This guy was my super sidekick of just cheering me up and, let's go out for a run. I did a little bit of running, but it was always kind of off to the side. I would much rather been on my horse. So yeah. I don't know. This one felt amazing because there was wild horses everywhere. And, I still love horses. I've just really kind of lost my mojo with riding. And I just love running so much now. So it's kind of gone full circle. So I'm actually very thankful for what I've gone through. And, it could have been a lot worse. Could have kicked me in the chest, could have kicked me in the head. So once you kind of come to that realization that sometimes things happen for a reason. And like he said, I know I wouldn't be doing this today. So,
and I'm sure I wouldn't be. There's no way I'd be doing this alone. I just don't see that pull. The pull isn't the running and the adventure is amazing. But with her by my side, and she did something very difficult. I don't know if I don't know if I could have handled it. I mean, she reinvented herself, later in life. It's a love she had since she was 5 years old was horses. And I saw her go through that and totally, become, just evolve on the other side, so happy. And so, I mean, she showed our kids strength. And so it was pretty amazing to see her come through that, full circle. And now we're out here, I think we're just so thankful to, we're not spring chickens, Scotty,
we're creeping up to 50. It's like, whoa,
so it's pretty, we're inspired by, a lot of the older crew out there, 50s and 60s and 70s in this sport is people are doing it in style. So
there's a gentleman that we just read about that he did a blog and he was 64. This was his first 200. I'm like, that's so cool. So cool.
Yeah.
And he smoked us.
I think he did this by like 20 something hours. So that's been, I think we're just, the more we do and the older we get, we just appreciate it so much.
Yeah. Well, you guys are so like my kind of people.
We got to go for a run.
I would love that. I really would love that. We're going to make that happen.
Yeah. That's right.
So what advice would you give to other couples who are considering racing together, getting into the trails together and running together?
I say just do it. Go out and just, I've heard a lot of people say, well, we're not the same pace, or we're not, I don't know. I think sometimes, I mean, if you went out together, let's say you're not the same pace, one can run ahead, run back, and just, I think trying something together is actually pretty cool. And I don't know, just try it.
That's a really interesting thing. So for you guys, do you typically run the same pace together, or is one a stronger runner than the other? Like, can someone like, I run hills better than, and you can run downhills better than I can. So
I'm a bit of a granny downhill. I'm very self-preserving.
She's a safety girl. She doesn't run with scissors, and she's very, very safety oriented. But I think early on in our running, we were more into pace, and we were kind of the typical, we started running marathons, and that's kind of, and it was, I remember going, I'll never walk on a run. I never even entered my mind. And then I got in the trails and I met people who did ultras, and then you're like, oh, of course you walk, and it's not all about running. So yeah, I think we always joked, we used to be about pace, now it's all about vertical. So
And I
You
think
know
we
what?
did one race last year that we were competitive, because we are competitive with
We
each
are.
other sometimes.
Oh, this is a funny story. Yeah, go ahead.
Which we love. It's a local race, and
50K.
50K, and we're running separate.
Yeah, so we had like a little, we're gonna try to kick each other's butts out
I
there.
was gonna beat him. I was close.
So we long story short, we both ran as hard as we could. All day, I was sure I had a huge lead on her, and I was like, I'm probably smoking her. Well, every time I'd see someone, they'd say, your wife's right behind you. So I'd gun it.
Or they say, guys, right ahead. And I didn't have enough speed to catch him, but I wanted to.
So we finished the day. I think we finished 7 minutes apart. We both got injured.
Yep.
Running so fast.
We had to go to PT.
Yeah. So yeah.
Probably, why did you do that?
So I think that was our wake up call.
Yeah.
Why
I'm just
would
gonna run
why would we run separately? We were miserable. We got injured. So
We're just better as a duo.
yeah.
Lesson learned, you two, the hard
That's
way.
right. That's right. So
And we've done, I think, 4 Vermonts I've done, and I've done 2 with you and 2 without. Sometimes over 100 miles, it's just easier not to have to run each other's race either. Sometimes I would got, especially in the beginning when I first started, I got anxious holding him back. But I think we've mellowed.
yeah, we're getting more relaxed in our old age, I think. And yeah, it's our why definitely is the adventure of it, seeing nature at 3 to 5 miles an hour. It's pretty sweet. It's hard to beat.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but it's related. So with the 200 miles is a lot of distance where anything could go wrong for either one of you. Did you have, and especially with boggy terrain where, it's not sure-footed.
No.
Did you have any contingency plans about, okay, if you go down, I'm out too, or I want to keep going? Did you have those conversations going into it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And we basically said, there's no way we're separating.
Yeah. We're kind of a package deal.
Well, in Vermont is different. In Vermont, there's so many aid stations and support, and we usually have crews, so it's kind of different. Separating a little bit if we have to, we will. But in Wales, I mean, I'm telling you, it felt there was stretches where you felt like we were the only people on Earth. I mean, there was 26-mile stretches where you didn't see a soul. There's no towns. There was no. I mean, there's just millions of acres around you, and we weren't really prepared to do it alone. So we just
and believe me, there was a lot of people that did it alone.
But
we were like, it was kind of the adventure of being together too.
Yeah. So yeah, we knew we had time. We knew we had plenty of time, and yeah, so we never had any plans to separate in this one.
Okay, good deal. Even at like mile 180, it's like just 20 more miles. I'm sorry that you sprained your foot, honey, but
I know. I guess you never know, right?
Well, thank goodness we'll never have to answer that question.
We'll never have to answer that question. Thank goodness. I'm just being a smarty pants over here, so just ignore me. So, okay. Is there anything else about the Wild Horse 200 that you want to talk about? Because I have a few other things I want to hit on before I let you guys go, because there are some other things about you guys that make you really unique.
Let's see. We were looking. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I just think if for anyone, I can't promote this race enough. If anyone is out there looking for a real kind of grassroots, the race is, there's about 50 people on that. It's a smaller crew. If you're looking for kind of a smaller grassroots race,
it's very reasonable.
Yeah, I mean,
super reasonable.
Yeah, it's the entry fee. If you look it up, it's very reasonable. The Airbnbs are, incredible and reasonable, and the people you'll meet, it's just, and this, Wales scenery.
The scenery is unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
The castles we went by, the Tintern Abbey, which was built in like 1100s.
Yeah.
We ran by numerous castles, and I think that kind of the selling point too is you're going on these kind of national paths, and then obviously you're veering off them too as well, but you're crossing through people's fields, you're crossing through their horse paddocks, their sheep paddocks, and you're opening the gates. I think we probably opened hundreds of gates, and you shut them behind you. But like, you're going on all these people's properties, which is kind of unheard of in the US.
Yeah.
Middle of the night. So I just, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
that wouldn't happen. That just wouldn't happen, would it?
Yeah,
I'd be too damn afraid nowadays.
No,
No, you would
exactly.
be, and
Yeah.
it's just, you just are in the middle, everybody's yards and
Yeah.
I gotta
everybody's
say, this sounds like the most polite race
Yeah.
on the planet.
It is.
on the planet.
I'm telling you, then that's
Yeah.
why that's why we're going back. We want more of it. I mean, we were unplugged for 5 days away from work, emails, responsibilities. I mean, we were basically at like an adult fun camp.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what more could you ask for? And yeah, they're just incredible people. So we had a blast.
Wow, just 40 miles a day to complete
Nothing
that
to it.
It's a
race.
paper, it's just a piece of cake.
What was the finish like for you guys? Like you can see the finish line. What's kind of going through your heads when like we got this in the bag?
Emotional. It's the first time I've seen Guy teary-eyed at a finish.
Yeah.
I've never really seen you teary-eyed
Yeah.
at a finish.
Yeah. I think getting there and seeing there was a bunch of volunteers that we had seen during the day that came to see us finish.
Lady from the checkpoint 9, she goes, I came back to see you guys finish, and
Oh my gosh.
adorable. I mean, she set our tea with like a little cookie on top, so it was like warm. Like she was just amazing. And I know, giving Reese a hug at the end, and seeing finishers that finished before us there hugging us, and no, we were pretty emotional.
Yeah. The only downside is sometimes you can't understand what the heck they're talking about through their accent. You're like, I'm like, what did they say? You did, and then you have to learn the different, toasties or grilled cheese,
Crisps or
chips or fried, and you just you learn all the different lingo. But yeah, it's a polite. You're right, you nailed it. They're a polite crew. They are tough. They're tough as nails. They don't whine. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Super tough.
Were the aid stations pretty comparable to what you get in the US over there?
Yeah, I think fairly comparable. There's a lot of like pot noodles, so a lot of like noodle soup type stuff. I think our favorite aid station was 9. They had big bowls of pasta, like pasta bolaise.
Oh yeah,
that was our favorite.
Oh.
The one difference I think is just they're spread out more. I mean, I think the longest we went was 29 miles between aid stations, and then most of them were like 20 to 27 miles apart. So it's you leave an aid station, you're on your own.
You're gonna be carrying a lot, except for the one. This is kind of a funny thing. I can't remember what mile we were at. Beginning, like, no, maybe half. We were going along, and we all of a sudden we're dreaming of food. So we're like, not a great thing, to be doing, but we're like, imagine if we had a hamburger. Imagine if we had a soda. Imagine if we had pizza. And then all of a sudden we kind of crested this hill, and there was like hundreds of cars, and we're like, but it was Easter weekend, and everyone was hiking the tallest mountain. And so we came around and we heard this noise, and we're like, what is that? It's a generator. And there was a hamburger stand.
Yes.
You guys manifested that. I mean, it wasn't there like 5 minutes earlier. You manifested it and it appeared. That's what happens.
We thought for sure it wasn't real. And we came up.
We couldn't believe it. We had burgers.
Wait, was there a woman in a red dress flipping burgers? Just have to ask.
Yes, she was. It was. We couldn't believe it. We were.
That was kind of the unique time we were really talking about food. But
the woman, there's 2 women working it. We couldn't stop laughing. I think they were like, "What is wrong with these people?" We were.
And I'm sure every runner did it as they came.
We were giddy. We were. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Oh my gosh! The best damn burger of your life, right there. And you're sharing that experience together, and that's like the beauty of this whole thing. It's just the shared experience of misery, of joy. It's the peaks, it's the valleys, it's the bogs too.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who is considering competing in an ultra marathon in a foreign country? Is there anything that you'd say you really need to know this? Or is it kind of like, man, you know what, it's the same thing that you go to down the street from your house, it's just in a different place?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was as different because, we spoke the language, which helped. I was like thankful that we, we spoke, everyone spoke English.
Right. And the time change the jet lag was a little tricky. But we got in a couple days before. I think the biggest thing was after the race, we parked our rental car at the finish line. and then rode the shuttle back. And the lady goes, "How long do you want to park here? 2 hours, 3 hours?" We said 6 days. And she's like, "Oh, whoa." So
Okay.
we left the car there. We got back and we finished the race. 10 minutes later, walked up to our rental car. We had a flat tire. And
that was new. We've never had that with a rental. And then in the UK, everyone's like, they don't provide you a spare. So we're looking in the trunk, and they're like, "Well, did you check the boot?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, we checked the boot.
We checked the trunk. There's no
There's no spare."
So yeah, so the 2 days after was a fiasco. We had, we dealt with that, try to get the rental car fixed, and it was a whole.
They ended up delivering another car to us, but yeah. So maybe just check your tires.
Check your tires. Make sure you got one in the boot, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Other than that, it was it was a 6-hour flight out of Boston, so it was for us
pretty close.
Same
as California. Really,
yeah. So it was great.
So like I said in the intro, that you guys were contributors to Ultrarunning magazine for quite some time. You had a regular feature article, Blue Collar Runners, which was very significant. Again, it's like I keep saying, you guys kind of speak my love language in terms of really speaking to folks who are ordinary people doing something very extraordinary, and their stories are so compelling given their background, the fights they have in life, the triumphs, the heartache, just whatever they got to do to kind of break through and just keep going. And that's what makes people so special. And that's kind of what I guess, would you say was the purpose of the article that you did?
Yes, that was our sole purpose, was to share these incredible stories. And oh my gosh, we met so many amazing people and shared so many amazing stories of our friends, people we hadn't known before and who are like dear friends now. And then, yeah, I just got kind of a little bit busy. So we definitely miss it. I mean, there was endless people we could have, pulled stories on just the folks that we met just at this past race. So we loved writing these stories about just, the everyday runner.
Yeah. I mean, we always say we're just a couple of country bumpkins that with no special skills or talent.
If we can do it, you can do it.
I mean, I think that's and you nailed it, Scotty. That's the spirit of this sport we do. It's just you don't have to be 6'8" and you just, if you just have, I mean, with the people we met out there, there's people incredible people out there of every age and walk of life, and it's just
they just have the will to want to do it.
It's like this spirit, this like kindred spirit of wanting to see what you can do and the sense of adventure. And we met this one guy out there, was it Sam? Sam. And boy, I almost tear up thinking about it. They interviewed him, and there's a few clips on YouTube. I think Kelpin Fern did a like a 7-minute video each day of the race, kind of highlighting it. And
it was so cool.
At the last one is this guy Sam talking about it. He talks about just, he's worked in an office for 10 years, but he was in the military, traveling the world, and he has this sense of expedition, he called it, sense of adventure. And he goes, I am what I thought I am.
It was so beautiful.
And it was just like, I don't know, it's maybe we're just still on this high of the race. But I think I think we're just realizing how much we love being out there, and it's
and what you can do if you put your mind to it. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You want something bad enough, you just have to go get it.
Yeah.
Do you individually have mantras that you use to kind of get you out the door when you really don't feel like running, or you're just kind of like getting over a hurdle, or just just everyday life, just kind of like they can be tough. A peak a week, it's a lot to ask.
It's tough sometimes this winter. Yeah, I think we're lucky in the fact that we can push each other. If someone's lacing up their shoes, we always joke the other person isn't going to be left behind. They're like, well, I'm not going to let you go out and lace up your shoes.
Yeah, you're not going to get 10 miles more than me. Or someone will go, hey, I'm thinking about doing this race, and she'll go, and I go, I don't know, and she'll go, okay, you want to crew for me? I'll go, okay, I'll run it. So we're a little bit competitive with each other, and the work we do, we own our own business, and it's stressful, and it's it's Zoom meetings, and it's there's a lot of lot of non-physical parts of that job. And for us, just getting out the door, it's like, oh, you just immediately feel lighter, and the air hits your face. So it's, I mean, we always have that pull to get outdoors together.
So I'm sure there are lots of folks who can identify with that right now, especially with so many people who do work remotely from home, where they're just stagnant. I am stagnant more hours during the day than I want to even think about. So where do you find the time to make up for that, to get outside, move your body around?
We make the time. I mean, we're lucky that we're, self-employed. So we just make it. We make, run during the day, lunch hours. A lot of times we did a lot of night runs this training cycle, because we knew we were going to be outside all night over and over. So we did a lot of late night runs. And then we actually did a homegrown 100K we didn't start till 11 at night. So that was it was a Saturday. Because we had a snowstorm, so we had to delay it. But so just kind of being active all day, and then starting at 11 and ending. And then we had some friends come and run the last lap with us. But I don't know. I think just scheduling it. And I always say, if it's something that you really want to do, you're going to make the time for it. You're just going to have to carve it out.
Yeah. Just it's having that. Our why is just, it's always right there and in front of us, getting out of the door, being together. So we just, and what we notice is when we're not active, we can feel it. We just
get a little grumpy.
It's that counterintuitive thing of, the more you're moving, the more we're doing, we just feel better. So it's just we've been doing it long enough where we know we just feel great when we're doing it.
You guys need to go on a circuit of doing motivational speaking to couples around the country. And I really seriously have got to meet you guys in person and just sit and just talk with you. I would love that. I'm in California, so
You've never been to California.
See, you got to come on out. We have this really unique race out here in summertime in June and this year in Nevada. You guys should come check it out. So I have one more question for you guys. I know it's late over there, you guys, East Coast. So thank you so much for making time for all of us. My question is, how would you describe your running partnership in 3 words? What would they be? You guys can arm wrestle, see who goes first, or thumb wrestle.
So our running partnership, I'd say contentment, laughter, and strength.
I like that.
I love her.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my gosh. For the win. For the win. Oh, yes.
You win.
Yes. Not on the couch tonight, Guy. Yes.
You know what it is? I'm not even trying to suck up. I have always told her, this, my little joke is, I think I'd be like a hermit, in my house without her. She's been the catalyst, I think, for, I'm that typical person of going, she'll say, oh, what do you think about this? And I'll go, I don't know. And of course I do it, and I'm like, that was the greatest idea I've ever had. So when
I said last August, I go, can we please go back to Wales?
Yeah, so I've been following her around since 1991. So nothing bad has ever come out of it. So I'll just keep doing it. So
it's the best damn decision you ever made in your life, Guy.
Oh my gosh. Not even close.
Yeah, the cupcake couple from Vermont. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for making time for us. You guys are just a beautiful couple, and I just wish nothing but the best for you guys. And I've already looked into next year's race at Wild Horse. My daughter's graduating high school that same weekend or same week, so I can't be there. But I was.
Worry. There's going to be 2
good
other
news.
ones.
Yeah,
there's going to be a mid.
Yeah, I saw that in June, right?
Yeah, and so he hasn't put the dates out yet. I think tentatively we heard there'll be one in July and one in August.
June in July.
Oh yeah, June and July. Yeah. So there's going to be a couple. So keep your eyes open. There's going to be a couple months later in the summer.
Yeah. I will keep my eyes open because I really am strongly considering getting out and doing that.
Maybe we'll meet there.
Gosh, maybe I can get my honey to come join me. Oh boy. Yeah.
Let's do it. Come on, let's do it. We know some good restaurants out there. We're learning Wales.
Oh, I want some tea with a cookie on top, getting all warm. Oh,
You want that. You do want that.
I do want that. You guys, thank you.
Awesome.
It was great. It was great chatting with
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll be in touch for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Good
Right.
night.
Good night.
Bye, Scotty.